special about the global MVP?
Got the minimum variance.
Global MVP, as the name suggests, it has the smallest risk, right? Minimum variance portfolio. So here we go. Because it has the smallest risk, so when I invoke solver in Excel, so it's under data solver. And this is the window you're going to see many, many, many times for this project, right? You remember this window? Dr. Marlowe's class has this window, right? Very good. So you understand what this window means, right? You basically got to set your objective, that's your goal, either maximizing that goal, minimizing that goal, or set the value of the goal equal to something by changing some cells that varies in value and have some constraint that needs to be satisfied, right? So basically this is an optimization problem that you're wanting to satisfy a goal by changing some variable, but those variables need to satisfy certain constraints. Okay? And then let Excel do the calculation for you. Very good. With that in mind, first thing for the global MVP, we already said it has the smallest portfolio variance among anything that you can find out from the underlying 8 securities, right? So how do you set that up? Your objective is going to be your cell that represent portfolio variance, right? And you want that cell to be minimized because it's global minimum variance portfolio. What can you change? What is at your control here? The 5 weights. Because you already, for you it's going to be 8 weights. Because you already have these 8 assets. Those are for sure. What you don't know for sure is how to allocate money among the 8 assets. That's the weight. Yeah? So you're controlling the weights. But can you just pick the weights whatever you want to pick? The weights has to satisfy what?
Equals 1.
What's equal to 1?
Sum of all the weights.
The sum of the weight. That's why you have a cell calculating the sum of the weights. That cell has to be equal to 1. Now look at that window there for global MVP. Is anything I'm missing? Is anything that doesn't look right, or is it okay? Well, I set my weight between 0 and 1. If I set my weight between 0 and 1, I am restricting myself from short sell securities, right? But right now, I'm just trying to find a global MVP. The global MVP may have to involve short selling in order to reach the smallest risk portfolio. So for the time being, I'm not going to restrict myself on that. As long as the weight add up to 100%, it's fine. But what about this thing here? This little box needs to be unchecked, because this little box is exactly what Aaron was saying is, oh, the weights needs to be non-negative. Okay? It's between 0 and bigger than 0. But I don't want it to be restricting me. Right now, it's probably sometimes, depending on what securities you pick, your global MVP will involve short selling of certain security of the 8. Okay? And that's okay, because by doing that, it reaches the smallest risk among all the risky portfolio from the same 8. So far, y'all with me? All right, so now looking at this solver window here, does everything look okay now? I'm minimizing the cell representing portfolio variance by changing the weights so that the weights has to add up to 100%. Anything else? That's it. Click solve. So if everything is set up correct, you will see that solver say solver found a solution. You want to keep solver solution. Look at my order variance covariance matrix. What have you noticed? Before I click solver, what were this?
Zero.
There were 0, 0, that's my initial value, right? Now what are they? They are what they need to be for global MVP, right? So my global MVP, as a matter of fact, does not involve short selling at all. It does tell me to spend 23% on A, 15% on B, 20% on C. And if I do it that way, I get a portfolio with a standard deviation of 3.98 with a mean return of 0.48. Yeah? You are required to copy paste the portfolio standard deviation and portfolio return from the result of solver to a table by just copy paste value only. So just keep the value, keep the numbers. Yeah? And copy paste it down to this table below it. So this table is gonna be your record holder, your results holder. Yeah? Making sure when you do that, copy paste value only. Same thing with all the 5 weights. I'm just copy paste these weights down, value only. Okay? So far, we have found the anchor, right? My anchor has a standard deviation of 398 with a mean return of 0.48. Keep in mind, this is at what frequency? You probably don't have it read. Your 120 data points is at monthly. So this is monthly portfolio return, right? 0.5. So not terrific, but you know, that's all right. So basically 0.4896 return with a 3.98 something standard deviation. That's my global MVP, right? I found 1 point on my frontier. What's the next? The next is going to be very tedious. That is, try to find multiple points along the frontier. I suggest you find a bunch on top of or above the global MVP, but also find a couple that's below the global MVP so that you can see the curve. All right? You can see the curve. So let's just say I want this one here. In order to find anything either on top or below the global MVP, what is so special about those points? They're dominant, they dominate the lower half. But how can I try to think about this through Excel's point of view? How can I let my intention be known by solver in Excel? What do I need to tell solver in order for solver to calculate this portfolio for me? For this first point here, if I want to know it, I have to name a target return level. That is, this point, this portfolio is special because it has the smallest risk for 0.5% monthly target return. Yeah? All these other portfolios, either above or below the global MVP, has the smallest risk for a level of return, and you have to name that level of return. You gotta let Excel know what level of return you want, and then Excel find the portfolio that has the smallest risk for that return. So far, you with me? All right, so if 0.5 is what I want for that portfolio, in solver, what do I do? is the table left off from last time when we're trying to solve global MVP, right? How do I find a portfolio that has the smallest risk but give me 0.5% return? What do I need to let solver do? First of all, my objective, I am still trying to minimize portfolio variance, right? Smallest risk. Smallest risk meaning minimize portfolio variance. I am still trying to change the weights. The weights have to change because I'm going to a different portfolio now. I have to change the weights. And these weights still have to add up to 100%, right? Because no matter how I change the weights, they need to add up to 100%. Anything else? What am I missing?
G154 equals 5%.
U1, oops. Oh, in the top. Yeah, double click. In addition to all that, I'm minimizing portfolio risk by changing the weights. Weights add up to 1, but what I'm missing is I want that portfolio to have what? A 0.5% return, which I listed down in the table myself, yeah? Or you can just write down 0.5% in that cell, doesn't matter. So, now if you look at it, I'm still minimizing portfolio risk by changing the 5 weights. The weights still add up to 100%, but on top of all that, I want that portfolio to give me 0.5% return target level. Yeah? Am I missing anything else? Are we good? Solver found a solution. Guess what? First thing first, to check if your calculation is correct, look at portfolio mean return cell there. What is it? 0.5. And that's what I want, right? I want that cell to be equal to 0.5. For return to be 0.5%, what is the portfolio risk? 3.9866, which, as you can see here, between my red and my blue there, as return goes up a little bit, my portfolio risk moves what? Up. Should it move up? Should it move up? Of course it has to move up, because the first point I got is global MVP. Nobody should have any lower risk than the first point. Since you get the first point, everything you get after that should have higher risk than that first point. Yeah? So this one here has slightly higher risk with slightly higher return. And of course, my weight this time, I gotta record it down, and as you can see here, it changed slightly as well, right? As comparing to your global MVP. So again, copy, paste, value only. Because if you don't do value only, what happens? Whatever you copy paste here, it's gonna change every time you run solver and the matrix change. Yeah? So you gotta do copy paste value only. Really?
So how many times do you have to run solver? Like you do it every
About
time?
10, 15, something. The more points you get, the prettier your graph is gonna look like. Yeah? So keep trying points. So now, what I've found is what? I found a 0.5 return with a 3.99 standard deviation. I find 2 points now, right? So I pick another point, pick another point, pick another point. Each time as I pick a new point, I gotta what? Name a return level. Name a return level. And find a portfolio that has the smallest risk for that return level. Okay? And you do this 10, 12, 15 times. It doesn't take long at all, actually. Yeah? All right. Go back to the point, or to one of the questions. So far, as we said, we are being very freestyle. That is, we let our weights to be whatever